looking to connect a region of over 600 mil bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Maricar Velasco.
Delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region, I'm Mariel Soriano.
On today's headlines, $10 million worth of business deals are expected to be signed between Filipino and Jordanian companies.
The Department of Justice maintained Senator Antonio Trillanes IV was still facing a coup d'etat case despite a Makati court issuing an order dismissing the same.
The wife of one of the two Reuters journalists jailed in Myanmar made an emotional appeal to free her husband for the sake of their young daughter, as the leader comes under increasing criticism for her silence on the case.
And Singapore and financially strapped Malaysia agreed Wednesday to defer plans to build a high-speed railway between the two countries by 2 years.
Some $10 million worth of business deals are expected to be signed between Filipino and Jordanian companies. This according to the Department of Trade and Industry. These are reportedly apart from the agreements on defense, foreign affairs, and labor the two countries are expected to ink after President Rodrigo Duterte's arrival on Wednesday night. The president will be in Jordan from September 5 to 8, the first visit by a Philippine leader since formal ties between the two countries were established in 1976. On Thursday, the president will also attend a business forum. He will cap off his trip with a meeting with the Filipino community on Friday.
Senator Antonio Trillanes IV on Wednesday said he would question the validity of Proclamation number 572 that revoked the amnesty granted to him by former President Benigno Aquino III before the Supreme Court. Watch this.
Ang basis ng presidential declaration ni Duterte ay isang malaking kapalpakan at kasinungalingan. Yung sinasabi na hindi daw kasi ko nag-apply personally. Kayo, naging saksi kayo doon. It was covered live ng media. So, palpak na kagad. So, yun palang basura na kagad yung declaration na yun. Tapos yung sinasabing hindi raw ako nag-admit ng guilt, maliwanag na nandoon yon. It was reported even by the media na nag-admit ako ng guilt. At yun ang requirement ng Aquino administration din bago ako mapapayagan o ma-approve ng amnesty.
Proclamation number 572 cited a certification issued by the Armed Forces of the Philippines J1 that said there was no available proof that Trillanes had filed for the amnesty in the first place. It also noted that Trillanes did not expressly give an admission of guilt in connection with his role in the Oakwood Mutiny and Peninsula Manila Siege in 2003 and 2007 respectively. Trillanes refuted this, citing media reports that quoted him as supposedly admitting his guilt. But the Department of Justice said what was needed was an admission of the commission of coup d'etat and not of mere uprising. The DOJ said the elements of coup d'etat and uprising, after all, may be different. The DOJ has asked a Makati court to issue an alias warrant against Trillanes, noting that the case filed against him in connection with the incidents have not been terminated, as the court suspended the promulgation of the same.
In connection to this, the Department of Justice maintained Senator Antonio Trillanes IV was still facing a coup d'etat case despite a Makati court issuing an order dismissing the same. In a statement, Acting Prosecutor General Richard Anthony Fadulyon said this was a case, or because the amnesty granted to Trillanes, on which the dismissal of the case was supposed to be anchored on, was void ab initio, or is as if it was never existing in the first place. Thus, the case reverts back to its last status, which is for promulgation of judgment. He said in the meantime, they have sought the arrest of Trillanes to comply with the directive in Proclamation 572 and to prevent confusion on the matter of him being arrested by the peace officers.
The wife of one of two Reuters journalists jailed in Myanmar made an emotional appeal Tuesday to Aung San Suu Kyi to free her husband for the sake of their young daughter, as the leader comes under increasing criticism for her silence on the case. Kyaw Soe-oo's wife, Chit Soo-win, broke down in tears as she asked the Nobel Peace Prize laureate to release her father of their 3-year-old daughter. Take a look. A UN report last week accused Suu Kyi of failing to use her moral authority to stem the violence last year and called for the generals to be prosecuted for genocide. Watch this.
Strong
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
Welcome back. Singapore and financially strapped Malaysia agreed Wednesday to defer plans to build a high-speed railway between the two countries by 2 years, ending months of uncertainty over the project. The fate of the bullet train line has been in doubt since May, when newly elected Malaysian Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad announced plans to review major infrastructure projects approved by his scandal-tainted predecessor in a bid to cut the country's debt. Malaysian Economic Minister Azmin Ali and visiting Singapore Transport Minister Kwao Boon Wan exchanged legal documents on the amended deal at a ceremony in the administrative capital Putrajaya. A joint Malaysia-Singapore statement issued after the ceremony said the project would be suspended until the end of May 2020, with plans to commence the service on January 1, 2031.
Asian equities were mixed Thursday following the previous day's rout as concerns about contagion from emerging markets fray investors' nerves, while sentiment is also being dampened by the possibility of further U.S. tariffs on China. And while M currencies, which have taken a battering in recent weeks, enjoyed a much-needed breather, there are warnings of further pain to come in region exchanges. Whereas that financial crisis in Argentina, South Africa, and Turkey will spill over into major economies, fueled a bloodletting across Asia on Wednesday, which filtered through to Europe. George Boboras, director of Salter Brothers Asset Management, said contagion is a normal reaction, warning that it will get worse. Wall Street ended mixed, with the Dow edging up, but the Nasdaq took a hit from a sell-off in tech firms as top officials at Facebook and Twitter struggled in congressional testimony and the White House warned a possible legal crackdown. According to Greg McKenna, chief market strategist at AxiTrader, Trump has the tech giants in his sights, following his claims of political bias against conservatives, adding that's important for global markets because the only thing hindering a complete rout is the relative stability of U.S. stocks. As they know, a big chunk of the SP's rally has been the performance of tech stocks, whose rally has been going increasingly vertical.
An emergency meeting to head off an outbreak of African swine fever across Asia opened in Bangkok on Wednesday after a mass pig cull in China sparked fears of a potential pandemic. The three-day meeting, led by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, brings together specialists in animal diseases as well as agricultural policy from 9 countries neighboring China. China, the world's largest pork producer and consumer, reported its first case in August in northeastern Liaoning province. The disease has since spread south, prompting a cull of 38,000 pigs. There is no antidote or vaccine, and the only known preventive measure is a mass cull of infected livestock. Swine fever spreads by contact between infected pigs, ticks, or other wild animals and can inflict massive economic damage on farms. African swine fever does not affect humans, but causes hemorrhagic fever in pigs and wild boars that is nearly always fatal. However, fears persist that the rapidly spreading disease could dent production in the world's largest hog market.
Eagle News teams are fair.
Sa impeachment complaint laban kay Supreme Court Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno, ang ilang maestra...
Ang rekomendasyon na makasuhan ang mga sangkot kasama na ang mga opisyal ng customs.
Hardworking.
Papaunlad ng isang bata na magiging isang future youth leaders.
Dedicated.
Sa nasawi ay dito natagpuan yung
Ito
bangkay.
yung kanilang paraan ng pag-aalaga ng mga may sakit na leprosy noong unang panahon.
Committed to public service.
Ang chairmanship ng ASEAN sa bansang Singapore.
Marami yung mga biktima ng mga nawawala. Ang ng Bureau of Customs na nasa merkado na yung mga pinaging produkto.
Sa kapila ng mga kilos protesta na nanatiling
dahil sa mabilis na
payapa,
pagresponde ng mga pamatay sunog, ang apoy mabilis na
karoon ng equal opportunity ang ibang mga kababaihan.
Ng mga kabataan at ipinakita sa pamagitan ng kanilang mga likha.
Nanatiling kulang pa rin ang tubig para sa irigasyon, para sa pagtatanim ng ating mga kababayang magsasaka.
As we live in interesting times.
Welcome back. For anyone terrified of an albino python, an orange corn snake, or a scaly bearded iguana, Chia Ratti says getting up close and personal at Phnom Penh's first reptile-themed cafe is the only remedy. Taking off from the cat cafes already popular in the Cambodian capital, Chia Ratti launched his business to revamp the skin-crawling reputation of lizards and snakes and convince haters that they are simply misunderstood. As customers sip on their lattes and hang out with the reptiles, 32-year-old told customers says others will love them like he does, while stroking the scaly neck wattle of an iguana. The walls of his cafe are lined with lit-up glass tanks containing snakes of various lengths and colors, while a bright macaw screeches in the corner. Some visitors look hesitantly at the cages. Others are bolder in their embrace of the creatures. There is no entry fee, so visitors can order a coffee and request a sit-down with a serpentine friend from one of the tanks. An iced tea for a young customer instantly becomes a cool object for a yellow and cream-colored ball python to twist its body around. A woman giggles as an albino python creeps from her shoulders and wraps behind her head. Nearby, a bearded dragon iguana perches on a table while a man gently pets it. A customer was wary at first of a corn snake, an orange-colored serpent that kills its prey through constriction, but it was soon resting on her palm as she sipped her coffee. To critics who say the animal should be left alone in the wild, Chia Ratti says his human-bred creatures cannot survive there. All of his cafe creatures are imported from Thailand. Watch this.
ចឹងក៏គិតថាចុះបើយើងបើកជាកាហ្វេទូចមួយសិនទៅហើយយើងដាក់តាំងសัตว์ចឹងឲ្យពួកគាត់បានមកពិសាកាហ្វេហើយឲ្យគាត់បានគយគុណសัตว์នឹងម្ដងតិចដល់តិចជឿថាមួយថ្ងៃទៅមួយថ្ងៃគាត់នឹងមានអារម្មណ៍ថាស្រឡាញ់ដូចខ្ញុំដែរអញ្ចឹង
Australia has minted a gold coin encrusted with rare pink diamonds worth 2.48 million Australian dollars, equivalent to 1.8 million US dollars, to meet growing demand for high-end collectibles from the ultra-rich. The 2-kilogram treasure, which depicts a sailing ship, a gold prospector, and baobab trees found in Western Australia, is considered legal tender and will be sold to the highest bidder. It is the most valuable coin ever made in Australia and is expected to be sold to a buyer from Asia or the Middle East. According to Perth Mint Chief Executive Richard Hayes, it was released in response to the distinct increase in demand for exclusive luxury items, adding the coin showcases rare pink stones hand-set in the most famed of precious metals, telling the inspirational rags to riches tales of mining for these prized resources. Called Discovery, it was modeled after the Holy Dollar, one of Australia's first coins, with a private collector paying 495,000 Australian dollars for one of those in 2013. As a basic rule of thumb, Pink and red diamonds are worth about 50 times more than white diamonds.
Indonesian high school students fled to higher grounds as tsunami warning sirens blared Wednesday, launching an evacuation exercise across a region devastated by a 2004 disaster which killed over 200,000 people. The drill simulated a magnitude 9.3 earthquake off the west coast of Indonesia's Sumatra Island. A total of 24 countries bordering the Indian Ocean from Australia to Yemen are taking part in the biennial disaster preparedness exercise. The UN-organized drill saw some 125 students in Mayulabo, a coastal town in Aceh province, hammered by the 2004 disaster, hide under their desks when a mock quake struck before they ran to an open field once the shaking had stopped. The group then fled to higher ground as tsunami sirens blared, with several other communities across the country also taking part in exercise Indian Ocean Wave 2018. Indonesia is one of the most disaster-prone nations on Earth. The archipelago nation lies on the Pacific Ring of Fire, where tectonic plates collide and many of the world's volcanic eruptions and earthquakes occur.
And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. I'm Maricar Velasco.
Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Mariel Soriano.
And I'm
we are one with 25.